Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a literal microscopic heist. We're going to look at exactly how viral replication works, breaking down the methods of these ultimate biological hijackers, step by step.
So here's the crazy thing. How does something that isn't even truly alive manage to completely take over your body? It's a real paradox, right? I mean, viruses lack the basic cellular machinery for metabolism or reproduction. They can't do it on their own. And yet, they are incredibly efficient at multiplying and spreading. To pull this off, they literally have to turn our own biology against us.
Here's a quick roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the ultimate cellular hijackers, the 6 replication steps they use, their different genetic battle plans, their overall strategies, and finally, how we're actually fighting back. All right, Section 1, the ultimate cellular hijackers. Let's make sure we have a solid foundational understanding of what we're really dealing with here. So, the absolutely crucial point to remember is that viruses just do not have their own cellular machinery. They don't have ribosomes, they don't generate energy, and there is no way they can divide on their own. This makes them 100% dependent on breaking into our cells. Viral replication is, at its core, this massive hostile takeover, making an entry, synthesizing new parts, assembling them, and then releasing the new army. Moving on to Section 2, the 6 steps of replication. Let's see exactly how this break-in goes down. Okay, so these are the 6 sequential steps every single virus must navigate to turn a healthy host cell into a virus-producing factory. Think of it like a master blueprint for a heist. From the initial knock on the door to the final getaway, a virus has to execute each of these stages absolutely perfectly. What's really fascinating is how that very first step, attachment, completely dictates who and what gets infected. A virus needs a highly specific key for a specific lock, which we call receptor molecules. A great example of this is the virus responsible for COVID-19. It specifically targets and binds to ACE2 receptors, which are found on human cells. No matching lock, no entry. But once it attaches, the virus forces its way in. That's steps 2, penetration. It might fuse its membrane with ours, trick the cell into literally swallowing it, or just inject its genetic material directly like a syringe. Wild, right? Then comes step 3, uncoding. The virus sheds its protective shell, meaning its stolen blueprints are now entirely exposed inside the host system. And that brings us to biosynthesis, which is really the heart of the whole takeover. Instead of reading our own genetic instructions, our ribosomes are hijacked. They're forced to transcribe and translate the viral genome instead. So the host cell unknowingly becomes a factory, mass-producing the exact parts needed to build an entirely new army of viruses. Finally, we hit steps 5 and 6, assembly and release. Those newly manufactured parts are assembled into mature virus particles, known as virions, and then they break out. Some viruses use cell lysis, which violently ruptures and destroys the host cell to escape. Others are a bit more subtle. They use a process called budding, where they gently push out, wrapping themselves in a piece of the host's own membrane as a sneaky disguise. All right, Section 3. Not all viruses use the exact same code to pull this off. Let's look at their different genetic battle plans. First up, DNA viruses. These are the bold intruders that head straight for the central vault, the host cell's nucleus. Because our cells naturally replicate DNA in the nucleus anyway, these viruses just transport their genetic material right into the control room to replicate and transcribe it. Classic examples of this strategy include herpes simplex viruses and adenoviruses. RNA viruses, on the other hand, generally set up shop right outside the nucleus, in the cytoplasm. Now, positive-sense RNA viruses, like SARS-CoV-2 and poliovirus, are incredibly efficient because their RNA acts directly as mRNA. It's ready for immediate translation. But negative-sense RNA viruses, like influenza and rabies, they have an extra hurdle. They actually have to synthesize a complementary strand of mRNA before any protein production can even begin. And then we have retroviruses, which use what is basically the ultimate hacker tool, an enzyme called reverse transcriptase. Retroviruses, like HIV, carry RNA, but they use this specialized enzyme to convert their viral RNA backward into DNA. Let that sink in for a second. Once it's in DNA form, the virus actually integrates itself permanently into the host's genome. It literally becomes a part of our DNA. Section 4, viral strategies. So once inside, viruses generally have to choose a broader strategy for their survival. It's usually either a fast smash and grab or a long con integration. We can directly contrast these two approaches. The lytic cycle is extremely aggressive. The virus rapidly replicates and intentionally destroys the host cell to release its army. But the lysogenic cycle? That is stealthy. The viral genome just hides within the host's DNA, replicating quietly every single time the cell divides. This can go on for years until specific conditions trigger it to wake up and enter that destructive lytic cycle. That brings us to Section 5, fighting back. So how exactly do we use this incredibly detailed knowledge of their 6-step heist and genetic battle plans to mount a defense? Well, we don't just throw medicine at a virus blindly. Modern antiviral drugs work by systematically targeting very specific stages of the replication cycle. For instance, if we can block the viral receptors, we completely stop step 1, attachment. If we inhibit reverse transcriptase, retroviruses can't write themselves into our DNA. By completely understanding the viral machinery, we know exactly where to throw the wrench.
And ironically, understanding this cellular hijack has actually allowed us to turn the tables. In biotechnology, we now use modified, harmless viruses as delivery vehicles for life-saving gene therapies. We also use our deep knowledge of viral replication to create revolutionary mRNA vaccines, essentially teaching our bodies how to fight the virus without ever exposing us to the actual pathogen. Looking ahead, these advancements in virology and biotech are paving the way for some truly unprecedented medical breakthroughs. We are entering an era of personalized viral therapies, incredibly precise gene editing delivery systems, and, crucially, a much stronger foundation for global outbreak preparedness. Understanding the enemy's blueprint is absolutely the key to building an impenetrable defense. So, as we harness the power of these cellular hijackers for personalized therapies, how will this redefine the very future of human medicine? I'll leave you with that provocative thought to consider. We started by looking at viruses as the ultimate biological bad guys, but learning their secrets might just be the key to curing our most complex diseases. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.